Oh my God, Georgia totally lower thirded herself.
It's good. It's good. All right. I think I'm ready to go. Okay. Me.
Lori.
Good afternoon. Today is Friday, September 27th, 2019. Today we're going to be talking about iPadOS, iOS 13.1 finally, new iPads, what about Catalina, news about Apple, and a whole lot more because this is the iMore Show. Joining me today is iMore's emotional support expert, Georgia Dell. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
If anybody has any anxiety about downloading the new updates, especially since they're kind of stacking out and it's all so stressful, are we all going to be okay? They can talk to Georgia because you will help calm us down.
I will try, or I will ignite lots of fear. No.
No.
I'll try.
And also joining us today is Renee Ricci of Vector fame. How are you doing today, Renee?
Good, Lori. Good. I just got to spend some IRL time with you, so I'm super happy.
We did. Renee and I were in New Jersey together for a couple of days this week for some work stuff. It was really fun. It was a good
Jersey
hang.
City. We got to look across the river at Manhattan.
Yeah, we didn't actually get to go into Manhattan, but who wants to go there anyway?
Right, when you can just look at it from afar.
We got the worst food, literally the worst food right in New Jersey.
Yep, it was perfect.
Frank, bratwurst, currywurst.
It was all the worst. All the worsts. It's good. All right, so let's get started right out of the gate with a little bit of update news on the iOS, iPadOS, TVOS updates. And we actually just got iOS 13.1 earlier this week, but iOS 13.1.1 also just came out today. I think it was just a little bug fix thing. Renee, did you update to 13.1 this week? Did you get a chance to?
Yes, I wanted to keep my phone on whatever Apple gave it to me with at the event for the review, because I figured that's what people would be getting it on day one. Little did I know how fast that, usually they wait until like a couple months into the fall, and then we get the .1 and we get the new emojis with it, and nobody else cares about anything else. And that prompts all the downloads. But this was like, what was it, like 10 days, 2 weeks? It was just so fast.
I think it was like exactly 10 days. Yeah. It was so great.
Fast. Did you, Lori?
Actually, while we were in Jersey City, I did not, because I know that Wi-Fi is terrible in hotel rooms and I didn't even want to try it. But last night, as soon as I got home, it was the first thing I did. And one thing I noticed when I woke up, I have Do Not Disturb set until 6:15 in the morning, I think. So when that goes away and my locks, I haven't dismissed it from my lock screen yet. It usually just says good morning, but it's all faded out so you can't see anything behind it. Now it says, good morning. The current temperature is such and such degrees, and it will be a high of such and such degrees later today. I was like, that's a wonderful little addition.
You hear it in your head like Tim Cook's voice going, good morning, good morning.
I love when you do that.
No, I actually hear it more like Siri's voice. Good morning.
Good
afternoon, morn.
Yeah,
so what are you doing?
I updated and I didn't get any good morning.
No, good morning. Well, you gotta set Do Not Disturb and then not swipe it away.
There's also a bedtime mode. Like, I think it only comes up if you're using the bedtime feature.
It was. I'm sorry. You're right. It's bedtime mode. It is. It's bedtime mode.
I
George
don't
doesn't believe in that.
Well, no, because I have my phone to always Do Not Disturb.
No, but the thing is, this allows you to know, like, to make sure you're always consistent with what time you go to bed and what time you wake up, which I've been told by people who are certified is better for my sleep hygiene.
I believe that I should do it, but I don't want Siri bothering me. It makes me feel annoyed. I don't like it. Stand up, breathe. I'm sorry. That makes me.
But do you do it on your own?
Angsty. I do. I try to. I go to bed at a pretty good hour. I woke up like at 8. I'm like I've been pretty good lately. Not always, but I don't want Siri tracking me and then shaming me for bad sleep hygiene. Though I
believe anybody tracking you at this point would shame you for bad compliance.
I do have a bad track record. There's a reason why we have a sleep DVD. It was really for me.
You needed some help with getting.
I do need the help. So I'd have to turn on the bedtime
mode
thing.
Yeah,
bedtime mode.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Read me a story.
I wish. I would love that.
You can ask Siri too.
Hey Siri, can you read me a story? Oh, sorry, I'm making everyone else have a story too. Hopefully it's done. Hopefully
only if they're listening through their HomePod.
Yeah, and it's set not to my voice, so.
Yeah, exactly. You're probably okay. Probably a few people got triggered.
I'm sorry. Write to Lori and get angry at Lori for
Micah. Her address is Micah@mobile.
Micah Sargent at Chihuahua.coffee. What about iPadOS? Have you updated, Georgia? You usually don't update, and I know last week Shortcuts really got you excited, and you went ahead and updated. That was great.
I ordered my NFC tags. I did. I ordered them. They haven't shown up
arrived yet?
No. Then I need to go watch a video to see how to do it. But I ordered them.
It's easy. The great thing about it is it's easy. So I mean, you did it. You watched it.
I watched it, but it wasn't with the little tags. So I'm a little worried about doing it. Do you have any, and have you done it?
I haven't done it with NFC yet, but the whole system is so much more intuitive now than it ever has been. So I think we'll be able to get it down pretty good. And we can definitely look at Matthew Casanelli's YouTube channel and watch those videos, because that will help a lot. Yeah. But with iPadOS 13.1, we get a lot of big features, and there was no such thing as iPadOS 13. It went immediately from iOS 12 to iPadOS 13.1. So we got all kinds of fun new features, some of which it's still a little frustrating for me because they don't work without Catalina. So things like Sidecar, which is one of my most favorite new features coming to Catalina.
So what is Sidecar?
Yeah, so iPadOS 13.1 has this little feature inside of it that allows you to use it as a second screen with your computer, with your Mac computer. But you need macOS Catalina in order to actually use it. And it doesn't just... It's not just mirroring it. It's actually a second screen. So you can either mirror or you can actually drag things across the screen. It's pretty amazing and really fun to use. It's definitely for people who use who are on the go and they bring their iPad and their laptop, their Mac laptop with them. I can definitely see this being really great. It's similar to Duet. Duet actually has some better features that kind of broaden out beyond Apple products. But if you've ever heard of Duet Display, it's very similar to that. And this has been for years how I take my computing devices with me to Apple events. As I bring my MacBook Pro and my iPad, and then I connect them using Duet Display so that I can use that second screen. And Sidecar does the same thing, but it's really great for people who just never thought that they needed that or wanted that. They didn't want to try it. They didn't want to invest in it. So it's just there, whether you want it or not, it's just there in the background. And then if someday you just go, hey, I'm going to check out this second screen thing, there it is. It's all plugged in and ready to go. Not plugged in, actually. It uses the Wi-Fi connection to keep the lag time down really low. I haven't tried it trying to play video games across two screens, so I'm sure it's not great for that kind of thing, but it's good for, just having a small second screen. I can't imagine this being like a good productivity tool at your desktop at home because, your screens are still kind of small, and usually if you want a second screen, you want something big, you want a big display, but absolutely for getting out on the road. So we still have a little bit longer before we get to do that, but right now, there's all kinds of fun stuff in Catalina. The dark mode, Apple Arcade is finally available on the iPad for people who had it on iPhone and wanted to play it on iPad but couldn't. It's now available for that. Renee, what are some other things that you can do?
With Sidecar specifically?
No, just with iPadOS 13.1.
Oh, with iPadOS 13. So I've been using it since the beta. So to me, this is it's not like Apple where you're living a year ahead, but I am living like a quarter ahead. So if these aren't specific to that, please forgive me, but I've been using them forever. The blessing and curse that is iOS 13 is the ability to take almost anything that can be dragged and make it its own window. I only say curse because, as Georgia well knows, my manual dexterity is not the best. So I can like, I have mishaps, misfires. I do things unintentional, but when it works, it really is like you toss the windows you want where you want them, and it remembers where they are, and you can get these different workspaces, which is almost like mission control back in the earlier Mac days. And I have like Safari and Notes, and I have all these different workspaces set up, and I can just pull them down. And you can have multiple instances of the same app. Like I can have 2 notes side by side, so I can have like a master note and then like the sub note that I'm working on, and just that by itself is so they have not nailed the user experience, but they have nailed the concept, and it just makes it so much more productive for me.
Right. So you could almost call this a sort of first step in the right direction to getting that kind of multitasking that we desperately want for iPad, which you're still going to have those arguments back and forth of whether or not an iPad is a computer replacement. And I still think it's not. It's never really intended to be a replacement. But for a lot of people, these additional multitasking features definitely put it into that category where somebody like my mom, for example, who doesn't own a computer, can use an iPad and get some of those same additional features, open multiple tabs open from the same app and things like that. And the whole the whole tab multitasking stuff has just gotten a huge boost. There's all kinds of fun new features going on with that. It's been a while since I've been trying it out, testing it out, but you can add multiple layers of apps and then fan them out and then pick the one that you want and bring that up. And so you can actually have, in a sense, you can have 3 apps side by side because you have split view, but then you can also have like this third section where there's the tabs of other apps that you can actually like click or tap on and drag through. So it's pretty fun. Georgia, did you download it? Have you updated or?
I did actually update it.
You did? Great.
I did. Well, because I got my watch.
Yes. Oh my God.
So I got my watch always on. I like here we go, my little, oh, wait. There we go.
Oh, that's really the same one.
I really like the one with the sun.
Same one I'm using too.
Really cute. And always on.
Mm-hmm.
Well worth it. So because of that, when I was getting my watch ready, I'm like, I'm going to update because I want everything to work as best as possible. Yeah. And I was also having some problems pairing. It wasn't showing me the little viewfinder. And I know I wasn't the only one that was having some pairing problems. And pairing your watch to your phone, not pairing an apple or orange.
Or eating a pear.
Or eating a pear. So because of that, I wanted to update. And so I haven't done anything with it, but I have it.
You have updated. It's good. Well,
I have updated.
Some of the other great
security
things that,
stuff.
Oh, lots of great security stuff. Some things that are still in the process of getting to their final resting place, which we had talked about when Apple first announced iPadOS and iOS 13 for that matter back at WWDC, the single sign-on or the Apple sign-on, I'm sorry, Apple sign-on, such a big deal that we're very excited to have. And they had to kind of back off a little bit on it instead of making it a requirement across the board. At least for now, it's a opt-in. So you're going to see. I really
want that badly. I want it to be across the board, force everyone to have to be a part of it. But I guess that seems like strong arming kind of behavior.
It's a daunting task to require everybody to do in a short period of time. So I think, Renee, you might actually have a little bit better insight into this, but I think Apple is just kind of giving everyone a little more time to get on board with that. Do you agree with that, Renee?
Yeah, and I think they also realized that in some cases it didn't make sense. Like, for example, if it's the Gmail app, it only really makes sense to have Google login. There's obvious exceptions to that rule. And also, if you're using it for business, like it's not for like, you can download it because you're a part of that giant company, but really only people part of that giant company would ever download it. I think there was just a bunch of use cases that they had to add to the exception list. So it's sort of like we put it out in beta, we got all this feedback, then we adjust it. And I think it'd be worse if Apple's like, no, we said this the first day and we're not going to change our minds because why would we? I think that would be far worse for everybody. So I'm happy if they adjust going forward. I do like also that they did put a firm deadline though, because otherwise people would just think they could keep pushing it forever.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll hopefully see more of that, but it's definitely not there yet. I was very excited to try it out when 13 first dropped, and I was searching around like, okay, some of them have it, that's great, and then others, like I really want to actually have an account for TikTok, but it still isn't available in that yet. So I'm still not actually. Now I just kind of like look at things as like a lurker. I don't have an account yet. I'm waiting for them to bring on Apple sign in, which if you're listening TikTok, add Apple sign in and you'll get at least one new no account person there, because
But
I
none
want
of
an
your
account.
information.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know how much value we will be to them
Yeah.
when it's just a number, but it's still a number. Your numbers increase. That'll still help.
Yeah, I'd talk about it more if I was using it more.
That is true. Free publicity. You heard
Yeah,
it here.
Exactly. What are some other big things coming?
Desktop Safari.
Yes. Okay. So, Renee, tell us a little bit about what that means exactly. What's the difference between desktop Safari and just iOS Safari or mobile Safari?
So the iPad grew out of the iPhone, and the iPhone's big achievement was taking the real web and shoving it into a usable browser. Because back in the old days, if you had like a Palm or a Windows Mobile, you had a WAP browser or Blazor or Pocket IE, and none of them could really render the real web. So Apple got WebKit, which was really light and really performant, up and running, and you could load the New York Times. And then when they made the iPad, they brought that over, but they made it sort of like, excuse me, I was about to sneeze. I apologize.
Bless you.
They made it too much like the iPhone, to the extent that a bunch of companies instead of making real websites, they made iPhone specific websites to deal with a small size and the differences in interactivity. And those ended up just getting scaled up. And it was some of the biggest sites that were the worst offenders, like Reddit. You would go to your iPad and you'd load Reddit and it would give you the stretched out iPhone version. Or like YouTube would do that. And I'm like, you lazy bastards, why? So what Apple's doing? No, I mean, there's literally no excuse for that. It's just like, oh, we're the biggest web companies in the world. We don't want to bother to do a single media call to find out the size of the display that we're on, and we'll give you a proper web page. And you have to and Apple added like request desktop version. And you had to do that every time like an animal. And all I really wanted was Apple to let me set that as automatic, the way they let you set reader view as automatic now if you want to. But they did it one better. They brought like much more of what makes desktop Safari. And it's pretty good. I mean, Google is doing everything they can to sort of bomb us back Internet Explorer by not being as good web citizens as I'd like them to be. And people are making websites, especially for Chrome now. And that means that, like, I believe, like, if Google does things that aren't the open web, we should kindly push back and say, no, we're supporting the standard. But people are coding for Chrome now, and so some sites aren't working in Safari. But Apple's gone out of their way to try to, like, Google Docs, surprise, surprise. But Apple's gone out of their way to support a bunch of stuff like Viewport, and to make a lot of calls and to fix a lot of things so that as much as possible, every website will just work. And that's great for people who do use Google Docs in the web, because the apps are still such hot garbage. And people who, their education site or their WordPress site or their Squarespace site isn't properly rendering. It makes the web so much more usable on the iPad. Not the general web, but the more web appy part of the web.
Yes, it looks like we lost Georgia for a minute.
I think over my Chrome comment.
She just was so excited about Safari that she just decided she would just jump out and go check it out real quick. Welcome back, Georgia.
I clicked on the screen and it hit log in, and then I logged out. I was like, oops. Oh, oops. I was like,
you didn't like me complaining about Chrome, so you rage quit.
No, I was overly excited about it. I was actually going to make a comment, and then, yeah.
And then you logged out on accident. What was your comment going to be? So
I panicked once I logged out, and then my brain went.
That's an anxiety moment right there.
It was a little bit of an anxiety moment. I'll do my breathing while you guys continue on.
Some other cool things that are available in iPadOS, and some of these things are actually also available in iOS 13. Voice control, new setups for screen time for kids. We've got the PS4 and Xbox One S controllers now work with your iPhone and your iPad and Apple TV and Mac. So if you wanted to use one of those controllers, which previously you couldn't use with the iOS devices, you can now use those to play your Apple Arcade games. Georgia, have you been playing any Apple Arcade games? Have you checked them out?
No, I'm excited to, though. I'm a little bit.
There's some great ones.
Yes. Have you started in, and what do you recommend?
I will give you my little, I even created a new folder on my home screen.
Did
to
you?
specifically put my Apple Arcade games, which I recommend
I'm
because
going to get pen and paper
and write them down.
Because then I don't have to open up notes and I'm lazy.
Let me first say that a game that you may, depending if you don't like golf games, you're probably going to just scroll right past it and not even think to look at it. But Leo actually pointed it out to me a couple weeks ago on MacBreak Weekly. It's called What the Golf, and it's absolutely not a golf game. It's really fun. It's more like
it's not a golf game. It's really fun.
Well, this is from somebody who does not like golf games, so I just scrolled past it. I didn't even think twice. I was like, oh no, I don't want golf games. No, thank you. But you sort of hit a golf ball around, but it's really to like do all these other funny things. You're not doing things with a par. You're not, trying to get the longest distance or make sure that you have your measurements perfect or anything like that. You just kind of like throw this ball around and see what kind of funny things happen. And sometimes it's not even a golf ball. Sometimes you are instead throwing the golfer around, or a couch, or a bunch of golf clubs, or a cat, or something like that. And it's so fun just to like do this fun little action game, I guess you would call it. You're always trying to get to the hole at the end, but it doesn't matter how you get to it. It's really just a fun experience of going through and whacking things and seeing. It's definitely made by people with a sense of humor. It's just kind of silly and fun and meant to kind of pass the time, which that's one of the great things about most of these games, is that they are so easy to pick up and play and set down that you don't feel bad if you didn't finish something before you have to go do, take out the laundry, or if you're standing in line at the grocery store and you have to close your phone really quick. It doesn't matter that you just had to close it. You don't have to be like, wait, let me finish this one thing real quick. So that's a big one right out of the gate. I also love playing assembly. It's Assemble with Care. Let me make sure I've got the name right. I'm opening it right now. This one is actually, let me just open the App Store just because it's not showing me the game right out the gate, of course. So I know. How dare they? Assemble with Care. I was right. It is another just incredibly simple game. All you're doing is it's sort of a puzzle game where you're putting things together, and you're the character that you're playing is somebody who is a fixer, like a DIY do-it-yourself repair person who is sort of on her own exploration in the world and discovering herself, and at the same time helping other people fix their personal lives. But within each story that's being told, you need to fix something that's broken. And it's very simple. It's a very puzzly kind of thing where you just have to make sure that the pieces fit together. And you have this little virtual screwdriver, and you get to do all these fun little things. And it's relaxing. There's relaxing music that's playing.
It has a very calming, nice, neat, dark kind of look to it.
It's a neat little, like, simple. It's made by the same game developing company that made Monument Valley. So if that gives you an idea of their sort of like graphic aesthetic, this one actually it's got a lot of like hand drawn, like watercolor style to it. So it kind of mixes their like sort of muted colors with some brighter, more vibrant things. But yeah, I love playing that one because it's so just kind of relaxing and simple. That's another one in my list. And then I also have Outlanders, which is a sort of a task management simulation game. It ends up being a lot harder than I thought it would be. I can't pass the second level because you have to maintain this group of people and not let them die by making sure they have enough food and making sure they have somewhere to live. But each level is there's certain missions or certain tasks that you need to complete within this period of time. And the second level immediately is like the balancing of making sure that everybody is well fed and working and has a place to live and doing that while also completing the tasks that are there. It ended up being a little harder than I thought, but it's riveting. This is one of those games that you kind of don't want to just set down in between. You want to kind of, I've got a half an hour, I'm going to sit down and play this game. Yeah. I mean, you could hit the pause button and come back later, but you want to keep playing because you want to see, did I do this right? Are they all doing what they're supposed to be doing? Everybody happy? Pinball Wizard. That's another fun little, it's like a physics game where it's like pinball and you're like rolling around this little wizard head who's collecting coins and stuff. And you're using just sort of the left and right of the screen to be the flappers, and you kind of like bounce around, but it's also sort of a dungeon crawl, so you're combining pinball with that sort of traditional like collecting loot and killing the bad guy, moving on to the next room. I don't know if it's a procedurally generated rooms or not. I should actually find out if that is, because that would make it like even better. Just a fun little quick game. And then there's a game called Tint, which that would be something I would say it's like a puzzle game based on colors where you need to make a certain color appear by crossing two colors over into each other. And it's all watercolor looking. It's beautiful. It's relaxing, but it's also a little bit brain stimulating because.
Which one is that one called?
It's just called Tint.
Tint.
Yeah. And with this one, you might think that, you have like your red dot and your yellow dot, and over here you want it to be orange, but then you have to do some weird kind of crossing over or going around. So you have to kind of figure out how you're going to get to orange without either running out of a color or accidentally crossing, blue and turning it into a different color or something like that. So it's a puzzle game that uses kind of colors as the means to the end. Again, super relaxing. And then there is also this game called Overland, which it's a turn-based, I wouldn't call it action game. It kind of reminds me of playing a board game, which I find that really fascinating. You take a turn, your character takes a turn, and then the monsters take their turn. And then you can even, sometimes you pick up extra people along the way, and then so it's your turn, and then the other person you're controlling's turn, and then the monster's turn. So you only have like a limited number of steps that you can do before the bad guy gets to you. So you have to really kind of plan out ahead of time, almost in a chess game sort of way, how you're going to get to, the gas can before they get to you. And so you need to get to the gas can, fill the car with gas, and get back in the car and get away, all before the monsters make it to you. So like, that's a fun little game to do. Renee, have you been playing any Apple Arcade games?
I downloaded a few, and I played a little bit of Where Cards Fall. I think that's the name.
Yeah,
it's just so moody and beautiful. And yeah, like you're journeying through the memories of this really depressed kid. And I really like. I just haven't had time to play as much as I want. But as soon as I got home, I updated my Apple TV to the new version of TVOS, and that has arcade. So I'm going to pair it up and see if I have a little bit more time to play that way.
The other one that I was looking at was Possessions, which is the one where it's a room and you move the room around so all of the things in the room fit properly. And so it's a really simple puzzle. Like it just seems like one of those ones that you want to decompress. It's kind of a zen feeling of just moving it around. Is it going wrong for you there, Laura?
It's autoplay.
Oh. And so you move it around, and then once you get all the possessions in the right place, then you pass and you go to the next area. It just looks cute, simple, straightforward, fun.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. I haven't downloaded it yet, but I love the way it looks. And Shadow, the developers are going to hate me for not remembering the name of this game. It was anybody in the chat. There's a game that uses physics-based puzzle solving where as you rotate the game around, it changes the way it looks. It's Shadow something.
Ooh.
and this is similar to that. And I loved that game. I loved playing it. And this one, I haven't had a chance to play this one yet, but it absolutely looks very similar to that. So yeah, very, very cool looking. So yeah, sorry that I forgot the name of it, but it has the word shadow in it. Yeah, those are great. Renee, in terms of like do you think of yourself as more a sit in front of the TV and play a console game kind of person, and that's why you're sort of looking forward to it on TVOS, or is this just you're just going to try it out on all the different devices and see which one?
No, I mean, I mostly play on the iPhone, but like when I'm on the iPhone, I'm usually just playing Pokemon Go because I'm walking and I'm bored and I want to be distracted while I'm walking. And I could play any game, but Pokemon Go feels like it's encouraging me to walk, so I generally use that.
Yeah,
And also, if I get too into it, I'll get smashed by a bus. So I don't want to be too engrossed in a game. But I just there's so much to do, Lord. There's just so much to do that it's finding the time to game, and usually it's like the expense of sleep, and I haven't even been that lately. So
yeah, definitely don't want to do that. But so since you mentioned TVOS, let's talk about that for just a minute. At the same time that on the same day that iPadOS came out, tvOS 13 came out, which brings not a lot of updates, not a lot of big updates, but some pretty nice ones. Like usual, what happens with tvOS is that it gets kind of buried in the background. People aren't quite as excited about it because it doesn't have as many big features coming up. But one of my favorite features, and I actually haven't even updated to 13 yet because I just got home late last night, so I haven't touched my TV other than to like watch an episode of Dick Van Dyke, you know. So I haven't done it yet. But Renee, you updated it. Multiple accounts on Apple TV, multi-user.
I don't have those, so I haven't been able to test that. Like we got to get someone who has, because I'm trying to figure out the use case for this because it's a family thing, and you're usually doing family things, and like I would love this on other things, so that if like my godkids wanted to listen to Nintendo music, that wouldn't be like what's being filtered through my Apple Music recommendations. But like on the TV thing, we kind of share similar tastes, so I don't really.
Well, and usually you're watching TV together as a family, so odds like I can see how yes for recommended and yes for which show are you at and to continue on that could be a little bit annoying, I guess. But I don't know even in a big family if that would be as useful. But.
So what I think is great about this, it's like each person has their own Apple TV that they can sign into their own Apple TV or their own Apple ID on their own, they're in their own account and build all of Apple TV to look the way they want it to. So right now I've got games and a couple of apps that I think are cool that I have on Apple TV. I have the, obviously the Apple events thing on there, but my significant other doesn't care about any of that kind of stuff. So he can build his own home base for Apple TV and use that separately. Sure, when we're together, it's like like a multiple account with Netflix. Most of the time we just use his sign in because we both like a lot of the same stuff. But I have a separate Netflix account because I like Disney movies and he doesn't like them, and he doesn't want to mess up his and our shared watching with a bunch of Disney movies. So I have my own separate account with Netflix, not account, but my own sign in with Netflix so that I can keep that separate and not mess with the flow.
And if you purchase something, it's still accessed by all of the different users. This is only for, what you're watching right now, recommendations, suggestions, and, which shows you've already seen versus which shows you have not seen.
Exactly. So you just get your own personal screen time there. And I think I would be dismissive of the different people in the world if I thought that everybody sat down and watched TV together at the same time. I mean, when I was a kid, I watched TV by myself as often as I could. And then my brother would come in and shove me out of the way and watch TV. So I could play with dolls. Yeah. So I think there are lots of times where family members aren't watching TV at the same time, and you can kind of separate your what's best for you. If you, for example, if your kids love to play video games on Apple TV, especially with Apple Arcade, they can build their own dashboard of their own favorite games separate from each other and not be fighting over. They can fight over who gets to use the TV, but not fight over which games appear in that dashboard and get used a lot. So it's like, I think it's pretty cool. And I think Renee just is angry because it hasn't come to iOS yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, iOS, I would like it. Like, I've wanted a guest mode for a while, so I could just hand someone. Like, Lori and I were at a conference, and let's say someone comes up and says, "I just want to look up a restaurant," or "I just want to make an emergency phone call." You give them your phone, and if it's unlocked, they have access to a wide variety of stuff. And if there was a guest board, which is rumored that they were working on, that would be great. And like macOS has the thing where you can boot into a guest mode that just has Safari.
Yeah.
But multiple accounts, like, if you have kids. And it's a complicated problem to solve because iPads have way more constraints than a computer. Like, they are super powerful. The chipset is amazing, but they have less RAM, and they traditionally have, like, dealing with the storage. Like, if you want to start partitioning the storage, you could run out faster than you would otherwise, and you can't just pop a new hard drive in it, or it's less convenient to dangle a drive out of. So yeah, but I think they have iCloud accounts for schools now, and I would like to see that sort of propagate out and become multiple accounts for not even phones really, but just iPads.
No, it'd be good. I think that you're absolutely right. It would be nice for phones too, that if you're sharing your phone with someone else, they're not going to be seeing your texts and everything else that's happening onto it, and they can still use it. Or if you're sharing it with a friend, they can, they have that, but they don't have, your significant other sending you messages that may not be appropriate for them to see, or stuff that's happening for work that's private. And that would be, I think, very helpful as well.
I just said pass the milk. Why did you have to pass the milk? What do you mean, why did I pass the milk? Nobody should have to see that.
No.
Nobody should talk about passing the milk. So before we go on to our next topic, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Thrifter. Georgia and Renee, will you pop over to Thrifter for me for a minute?
Already there.
Find a great deal. Well, I tell everyone that Thrifter is a way to save money on everything from gadgets to home goods by shopping based on value and not hype. You can sign up at thrifter.com to get thoughtfully selected tech deals from places like Amazon and Best Buy daily without all the fluff. So while you're at your thrifter.com, Georgia, what's something you're seeing today that's pretty exciting?
I actually just lost my mind. They have 6 silicone bands for your watch, 6 of them in 6 different colors for $6.
All 6 of them for
All
$6.
6 silicone bands for $6.
Oh my. I guess you're going to have to get that.
That's a must have.
That's like Swatch Watch for Apple Watch. I love these. I don't usually wear a silicone band, but the fact that you can get so many different colors and styles, to me, it totally reminds me of Swatch Watch when I was a kid, where we would change our bands every day. We'd have 2 different colors or something like that. And you can find this at thrifter.com. It's right there on the homepage. That's exactly what we're talking about right now, which is that they curate all of these amazing deals right there on Thrifter. They're available all the time. You can either sign up for a newsletter or just visit the site anytime you want. Renee, did you find something great?
I have something great and something that's just totally wild. So they have a KitchenAid 38-ounce cold brew coffee maker in brushed stainless steel for $80, 39% off. You save $50. But then right diagonally down there, the Hamilton Beach sandwich maker, where it looks like you put in an English muffin, you put in an egg, you put in ham, you put in cheese, and you put in the other half of the English muffin. You press down, and you have your own breakfast.
That looks like a Instapot for sandwich makers.
Doesn't it look so cool?
You make it all at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one is
wait, there's something else everyone needs to know though.
Okay.
They have, and I'm no T-Mobile user, but for those that are, you can try the Impossible Whopper at Burger King for free.
Ooh.
If you download the app and redeem the code.
Holy crap. That's impossible.
So it's for free. Download it, redeem the code, delete the app if you want. But, no, but the unfortunate thing is I think it's like only a day. So probably most of the people that hear it are not having a burger. It's still
you're not having that free Impossible Burger. But
Philips Hue light strips are $58. That's 28% off. Oh
I
yeah,
love
just
Hue
keep going
light
forever. You got to
strips.
stop me. Stop me before I say it again.
I know that's exactly. I actually, whenever Thrifter is our is our sponsor, I'm always worried that I'm going to end up spending more money because I go there and I always buy something. Everything that you've mentioned, I will probably end up buying before the day is out, except maybe the Impossible Burger thing because I don't have T-Mobile. But that's exactly why you do want to be a member of Thrifter.com, or you want to visit the homepage as often as possible. For that exact reason, you'll find these deals. A lot of them are only for a day. Some of them might even only last a few hours until they sell out. So if you're constantly keeping track of these great deals, you'll find out that Thrifter.com has everything that you need. You can save money on everything from gadgets to home goods. And you can go to Thrifter.com today and sign up now. And thank you, Thrifter, for sponsoring this episode of the iMore Show.
Can I inject something quickly, Lori?
Yes.
So this has nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but I just saw it and it's so happy making. Disney and Sony, our parents have stopped fighting. The divorce is over and Spider-Man is back in the MCU.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
I could not pick
huge.
sides. I didn't know what to do. I was sleeping at one house one night, the other house the other night. It was just terrible. They were fighting all the time. And now
This
they've
is
agreed.
especially great for Disney Plus, because I'm assuming that means we're going to get some more fun future Disney Plus stuff. So
Yeah.
that sounds great.
Yeah.
So
Sorry,
I
I saw that and I freaked.
No, that is a big deal. I understand. Take a moment, take a breath. While you're doing that, I want to answer a couple questions that we are getting in our live chat right now, which I know we were actually delayed today, so I apologize to everybody that shows up for the live feed. We lost Georgia again, but I'm sure she'll be back. That we were late. We usually do this on Fridays at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, but sometimes we're just going to be a little late, so just forgive us when that happens. Curtis Boyle asks a question about the Apple Watch Series 5 and says that his mom is interested in getting one with the cell option, but doesn't have a cell phone and isn't interested in getting one, and can it be used as a standalone? This is a question that comes up. Even though the Apple Watch Cellular can be used separate from an iPhone, it doesn't need an iPhone to work. It needs an iPhone to be set up. So she does need an iPhone in order to use it. It does not work with an iPad, even a cellular iPad. You have to have a cellular iPhone with a working account in order to be used, in order to set up your Apple Watch. So just keep that in mind.
Now, could they set it up on your watch, your phone, set up your mom's watch, and then take your phone home with you afterwards?
It relays. So because of the way that it works for the modem, some of the stuff, like I believe SMS messages and one other thing, calls are fine, but there's a couple things where the phone needs to be on somewhere in the world for it to know to redirect text messages sent from, because people are still going to call you on your phone number, and they're still going to text you on your phone number. So it has to know how to manage that because the watch actually has a separate number. But the good thing is if you get the cellular rather than the GPS, then you get that new emergency SOS everywhere feature. So even if you don't get a plan, if you fall down, if you hurt yourself, if you're traveling in another country and fall down and hurt yourself, you can still call 911 no matter where you are, just with the watch, no phone needed. So it might be worth it just to get the modem anyway, even if you're not going to use the cellular plan.
Right. It's a little more expensive, but the exchange for getting that kind of always emergency service, no matter where you are, no matter, if you're out in the forest or something, it makes it worth it for sure. Another question that we got was, is it worth buying an Apple Watch Series 3 in 2019 for the $315 selling price in India? So Renee, let's talk. Go for it. What do you think?
Well, so I just recorded that video today, and I'm going to be editing it right after the show. Okay. So I'll have that up. I'll have that up in very, very verbose form sometime tonight.
Are you willing to give us a spoiler, or should we just wait until the video is up?
The thing, it is a tremendous watch. It is in many, many ways, for most people, just as good. I mean, the screen is a little bit smaller. It's a fraction of a millimeter thicker. But it has all the cellular features. It has all the fitness features, like the workout features. It's got an altimeter, all of that. The only thing that you're missing is the latest generation safety features. So you don't get fall detection. You don't get the international 911. You do get the low, high, and irregular heartbeat warning. So that's something. So if your primary use is like a really, really good connected fitness device that has really good optional communication stuff, if you get the cellular thing, it's great. But if you really if I wanted my parents to have them because I'm afraid of them falling down or not being able to contact me, so I would get the Series 5 just for that. But if that's not a concern of yours, I would have no. If you have a Series 3 or you want a Series 3, you'll still get 2 or 3 years out of it, including watchOS updates from Apple.
Except for you don't get your always on display, which Georgia would definitely say it's not worth it because she wants the always on display.
No.
But if you don't need it,
it's really
Series 3 is a great watch. Yeah.
It's an amazing watch. It's an amazing watch. It's great to have, but it was pretty cool not having. I'm actually shocked every time I look at my wrist and I don't have to do flick. I still do because I'm not used to it.
I noticed, so when, again, we were with a group of techie people just a few days ago, Renee and I, and so a lot of our cohorts had Series 5, they had updated, and I found myself glancing down at people's wrists all the time because I liked looking at the screen. I was just kind of like, ooh, that's pretty, which adds a new level of I wouldn't call it stress, but a new level of like your face, your watch face point better be on because you want it to match it's now something that people are going to see. So you want to make sure that, it matches your outfit.
And Lori will judge you. She'll judge you. She will.
Yeah, I will.
She will judge you.
It's pretty cool. Like, again, I'm staying on 4. I never really needed the always on display. So it's, to me, going from 4 to 5 it's not worth the upgrade. But I look forward to the time when I decide to get the next Apple Watch because I know that feature will be there and it is really cool. So I can see why it's such a big deal, even though I'm in or out with it. So Catalina is not out yet.
Nope.
But Renee, do you think that it's so? A Danish and Apple Danish website was showing a Apple Arcade available on Mac date of October 4th. So how right do you think this is? Do you think this was just them trolling us, or
no? Intellectually, I mean, it sounds fine. I would like as much time as possible, and I think Catalina needs it. Like, you say that every year. Catalina has some of the biggest changes we've ever seen, and you don't see it on the surface. Like, on the surface, it's just, a few small things, but there's just massive changes to the way that people make apps. And I don't think they're fully baked yet. Like, they've been working on them really hard on the surface. But if you look at like all our developer friends who are going to plan on shipping apps, those apps aren't ready yet because they've been working against a moving target that's not well documented. And there's just a lot of issues. And I expect that, like, when they released APFS, they released it, but it took an extra year to bake it in. And when they've done other big updates like Swift, not everyone was coding every app the first day that Swift was announced. And I don't expect there to be a flood of Catalyst apps as soon as Catalina is out. So I don't think they're in the only thing that is annoying to people who use multiple Apple platforms is that some stuff is not working right now because sync is different for things like reminders and some iCloud stuff if you're not on Catalina. But I kind of feel like you could jump on the beta and still get that because it is a public beta. So that's a long way of saying just take your time. I'm never in a rush for a new operating system.
So even if it does come out on October 4th, you don't necessarily need to download it right away.
No, unless you went all in on iOS and you need it to sync your note and your reminders are like driving you out of your mind.
Yeah. Well, then I guess for at least for a while, you could always just partition your Mac and have used that for a while until you're sure that, because I think that's one thing, Renee, that you are getting at or hinting at is that our computers, they're not like our phones, though our phones are very much important to us now. Our computers are kind of like our window into the world. And if there's something that's not working on those, especially if we use a computer every day for our work-related purposes, and that app that we're so used to using all the time, if it doesn't work or it doesn't work right, that's a productivity
that
crusher.
poorly. Like, I think for users, it's fine. Like, if the user-facing stuff isn't that much of a change. Like, yeah, iTunes goes away, and maybe you're futzing around with Finder, trying to old school sync your iPhone. I think, like, just in terms of getting Catalyst apps out, that's going to take a while. And if you're no rush for those, doesn't matter if you update or not. I just think it does also, by the same token, it doesn't matter if Apple rushes it out or not, because the longer it takes, the more developers will have time to get those apps done.
Yeah. And I think they will come. I think it's probably, we're almost there. Georgia, I want you to click on, I want you to go, nope, not that one. Don't worry about that. I don't know what I did.
But while you're doing that, I'll also say that I do think the privacy alerts are a tad annoying. So I hope Apple scales those back.
You know, I think I agree and disagree to both, because it doesn't ask you every time. It just asks you at first, and then it starts to remind you. So maybe if they cut back on the reminder of it, but at first you're just going to get a bunch of notifications, and then.
But it's often enough that you think it's every time. That's my thing. It's like, didn't I just do this? I just want to download a file from Safari. Like, Apple says, and I believe that if a user does an explicit action, that is approval. But it seems like sometimes I'm explicitly saying download and open this app, and they're like, but you're downloading and opening the app. And I'm like, yeah.
So maybe just a little bit less helicopter momish, I guess.
Yeah, it was like that little dog. Remember that dog in the old Looney Tunes cartoon? How can I? Like, just, and I don't want it to be like Vista, like user access control at all. So just chill, mellow a little bit. Take it easy.
Right.
I think it's for some people don't really know. Like, they're unaware of what's happening when they're doing what's happening.
But if you bug them, they'll just ignore them.
True.
Maybe.
True, that is fair. If they show up enough, we won't really read it, and then we've actually said yes to something that we wish we'd said no to, and then we're like, uh-oh.
What did I just agree to? Oh my God.
Yeah, what did I just say yes to? That's true.
It has the potential of becoming just noise that we ignore. That's true. So maybe a little less often. I do think, though, there's been a couple of times where an app was using Bluetooth. It was, asking for Bluetooth support, and I definitely didn't think that it needed it. So I said no. There are multiple apps I've done that with that, maybe in one specific circumstance, I might want to use, Bluetooth speakers to play something from this particular app, but it would be something like, like a productivity app. So why would I need Bluetooth support for that? So I've been much more aware now of what apps are using things in the background that I didn't realize they were using.
On the iPhone, I really like it, especially because of their scammy Bluetooth behavior.
Right, and I guess on Mac, you're probably less likely to come across
I don't know if I've gotten a Bluetooth alert on the Mac yet. I can't. Have you gotten one? I can't. Maybe.
I haven't, but I haven't actually been using the beta of it very much. Okay. I used it a lot when it first came out at WWDC, and then I just haven't really used it very much lately. Again, because
it's confusing. I mean, that's my problem with it. Is like it'll say like it tries to prevent apps from recording your keystrokes in the background, but sometimes the app just wants to monitor for a hotkey. Like if I ever press Control-Shift-Z, I'm launching this app, and it needs to know that. But now I think it's suddenly recording all my keystrokes. So I think there's like better, like they can, work on the vocabulary a little bit. Yeah,
that's true. That would help a lot.
Or it can only have access to, certain actions and not everything. I don't know. I always like to know. I'm anti-creepy. I'd rather get 100. I read them. I wait. I look at them. I read them. Unless I'm doing something and I'm busy and then I need to get rid of it fast. And then,
and then it says we're going to take your firstborn, and then you go, what did I just say?
And I'm like, oh no, I've just given my location to.
No, the firstborn cleans his room. The firstborn cleans his room. Don't take up.
So there was I think it was just this morning. There was a patent that popped up, and I don't usually like to talk about patents, but in this case, Georgia, I wanted you to see what this is. And here's the headline. An Apple patent shows potential for light up Apple logo notifications. So don't pretend that this is coming soon because there's a patent, but just What do you think of that, Georgia? Having a light up Apple logo on the back of your Mac to let you know that you've got a notification on your, you've walked out of the room for a minute and you kind of catch the glow and, oh, maybe somebody text messaged me on and I can get it on my Mac.
I would love that. I just want it. I would want it on all the time. I would ask people to just send me notifications so I could leave it on. I would die. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I've wanted this.
Yeah.
I tried to, Allie, my ninja master tried to hack it. It didn't work out really well. I'm not that good with the soldering iron. Dangerous thing. Want it deeply. That would be great. I think it would be so cool.
So fun. Fun.
It would be so good.
If you could set up different colors.
Lori.
For the different, so I could have, I get a blue text message from my mom and a yellow text message from my significant other or something like that. That'd be so much fun.
It would be
rainbow
great
all the time.
Well, you know what the cool is? Like LEDs are and just the diodes, they're small. They're like, this could happen. It's a possibility to have this happen.
It could
I would
happen.
love that. And I think then you could use the Apple logo. So for people that are, hearing impaired or visually, this could be really helpful for a phone call coming in, other things, that you would have something that's kind of cute that wouldn't be overly intrusive. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would want that. Buy it in a heartbeat.
Actually, when you take into consideration the accessibility benefits of that, that's a really great way to get Apple to pay attention of there is an accessibility feature on the iPhone that allows you to use the flashlight to flash a bright light when you get a notification.
But it's quite bright.
It is the flashlight. I think you can tone it down.
Turn it down, but it's still quite bright. I used to have a case that would light up when someone calls, and you use the flashlight accessibility feature, and then it makes your entire phone glow.
Oh, that's cute.
It was kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. But it was even that was really bright. It was too bright, and everyone right. You're somewhere where it's supposed to be dark, and then everyone this would be less intrusive. They could make it a softer kind of color and just let people know. Mm-hmm. And, one could be the warning, it would be really cute.
It would be cute. It would be cute. Yeah.
They could go pink when two iPhones were next to each other. I don't know.
I love this. I saw that this morning and I just thought, Georgia needs to see this. And it's just it's a patent thing that, we can never use patents as any kind of example.
No, and they would want that probably just for themselves anyways, just in case. But wow, I would be really, really excited if it finally actually happens.
It would be cool. Maybe someday. So we're almost out of time here, but I think I just want to jump in with one or two fun little things that have come up. Another amazing thing that happened, this was yesterday. I've clicked on the wrong one. Somebody found an underwater, sorry, there we go. Okay. Somebody found an iPhone, they think 6S, that had been lost underwater for 15 months at the bottom of a lake.
They found you, Nessie.
Yeah. So it was a scuba diver who was just kind of rummaging around at the bottom of a lake and came across this iPhone that was inside of one of those waterproof bags, not a waterproof case, but a bag. And it's just, isn't this interesting? Isn't this funny? And pulled it out. And I guess it didn't totally survive 100% clean, but it was still, here's the thing. He was able to contact, I'm just so excited about it. He was able to contact the owner and get it back to that person.
Was it an angry Pokemon player who threw it in there out of rage, not catching a Lapras or something?
Could have been. And that the owner confirmed that it had been lost 15 months ago. So Amazing. It sat underwater. This is not even the most waterproof phone. It wasn't a waterproof bag, but even a bag after 15 months is going to deteriorate some. So water did get into it, but he was able to connect it up and send a message to her or get in touch with her, let her know I found your phone and send it back to her. And so it survived underwater for 15 months and came out like it's got problems, but you could technically still use it, really. If you didn't have your iCloud set up and you had all these pictures or old text messages or something, and you didn't have a way to get them onto your new phone, you got your phone back now so that you can, you can like set it back up and then, add iCloud to it, get those photos moved over, get those text messages moved over. So it was just a fun little thing of like, I can't believe that over a year underwater and it still actually worked. So
well, the Princess was the first unofficial waterproof iPhone because they gasketed and sealed it internally,
right?
But they didn't claim any water resistance on it.
Yeah. So and now when you hear those kind of those waterproof ratings or water resistant ratings, even though Apple doesn't want to lay claim to anything stronger than that, you can kind of think back to that. Well, that 6S was underwater for 15 months and it still works. So
just remember, things are water resistant until they aren't. It's not a permanent state. It wears down over time. So if you are going to go scuba diving, make sure you get a proper waterproof case.
Right. And definitely don't ever assume that your case is waterproof or even water resistant, because even though you could drop it in 30 feet or 15 feet of water for 30 minutes, it doesn't mean that every single time it's going to work or it's going to be okay. And like sometimes some phones just don't. So definitely don't risk it. This is just great protection for those moments when you do accidentally drop it in the pool, that you're more likely to be okay with that. So. Okay, so I think we're out of time. Thank you both so much for joining me every single week. I really appreciate it. Even on our busy Fridays, Renee was running around before this and still took the time to join me so we could talk about all the
result of my own stupidity. So it's fine.
It's going to be okay. Everything will be okay in the end.
All right.
And thank you to everyone who... Everything's fine. Thank you to everyone who joined us in the live chat. Again, we really do like having you in there chatting with us. And even if we don't have a chance to address all of the comments and questions, we keep our eye over onto the side of the screen and see what you say. So thank you for coming in and talking with us. And we do podcast normally every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes there might be a delay. And when that happens, it might just delay an hour or so. Just kind of keep your eye out. We always tweet it out every time too. So if you're wondering what happened, you'll get the notification through Twitter that way from iMore. Thank you to Jim Metzendorf for making us sound great. He does a great job every week and gets it up fast. So if you're not able to listen to us live, it's less than 24 hours later. It's up on all the podcasting platforms. So thank you, Jim, for doing that for us. Renee, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, or if they just want to see all the amazing things that you're doing right now, where can they find you?
Author named Lori Gill on iMore. That's where the amazing stuff is. Otherwise, for my stuff, you can go to @ReneeRitchie on the socials, or imore.com/vector for the text, and youtube.com/vector for the videos.
And Georgia Dow, if anybody has any issues with anxiety, or if they just want to say hi to you, where can they find you?
So I'm sometimes on Twitter at Georgia_Dow sometimes. And if you're dealing with anxiety, depression, relationship issues, you can check out anxiety-videos.com.
Excellent. And if you want to chat me up on the Twitter, you can find me at Appaholic. That's APPAHOLIK. You can find me at Lori Gill at most of the other social things. And of course, always writing everything I can at iMore. And thanks again for another week of the iMore Show.
Thanks,
everybody have a great day.
Appreciate you.